Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. For this one we're going to return it to Pennsylvania, where there also happens to be another very good beer tuber over there. So go and check out Paul Rameli's channel, PABrewNews, some very good American beer reviews over there. I'm sure you'll enjoy his videos. But for this review we are going to return to Victory Brewing from Downington in Pennsylvania, which is about 30 miles away from Philadelphia. So for this one we're going to have a review of the Headwaters Pale Ale. I've already done Prima Pils and I think it was Hop Devil I did for you before. Very nice beers, and this is a brewery that is becoming quite a bit more prominent in Europe in craft beer circles, I'm sure. So keep an eye out for their beers. They are very good, and it's quite cool. I think I'm doing my third review from these guys now, and I do rate them very highly. So as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a very brief history of the brewery. The brewery website's in the video description for you below, so check that out if you're interested, and also check out the link to my other Victory Brewing reviews if you're interested in those too. And just fast forward a few minutes if you are wanting to just go straight to the tasting. So anyway, Victory Brewing was founded by two friends, Ron Barcha and Bill Kovalevsky, and they'd been friends since 1973 when they were in the 5th grade, and apparently they remained very good friends despite going to university on different coasts in the United States. A few months after finishing university, Bill's interest in beer and also access to his father's home brewing equipment prompted him to further explore his hobby. In 1985 he gave Ron a home brewing kit as a Christmas gift, which helped them both pursue their love of beer, and apparently this kind of developed into a bit of friendly competition between the pair. But over time they gradually grew sick of their jobs in the corporate world and decided that they wanted to combine their skills and make a living as brewers. So Ron quit his job as a financial analyst and began an apprenticeship at Baltimore Brewing Company, working under Dutch-born, German-trained brewer Theo de Groen. And after working here for a year, Ron moved to the Technical University of Munich at Weihenstephan. Obviously a very prestigious organisation there, that's the word I was searching for. But as Ron departed for Germany, Bill immediately took over Ron's role in Baltimore, and while Ron was enhancing his knowledge of German brewing, Bill was helping Baltimore Brewing to basically expand a lot of their range, and he also helped them make a lot of German speciality beers as well, and many of these actually went on to win awards at the Great American Beer Festival. And following his time in Baltimore, Bill travelled to Munich in Germany, where he studied at the Dohmans Institute. So as you can see, this brewery is done by two very highly qualified brewers, German trained, very prestigious organisations they've been trained by. So Ron returned to the US after a year of study in Germany and took up a role at Old Dominion Brewing Company in Virginia, and over the course of his 4-year spell as brewmaster he helped increase the production of the brewery tenfold, from 1,500 to 15,000 barrels per annum. With all this gained knowledge, Bill and Ron decided that it was time to start brewing for themselves, and they settled on Pennsylvania, which was where they first met for the location of this brewery. And Victory Brewing opened to the public on the 15th of February 1996, and they converted a former Pepperidge Farm factory into a 144-seat restaurant with a 70-foot brewery and a full-scale brewing hall in it as well. In that first year of operation, the brewery brewed 1,725 barrels of beer. In more recent years they've increased the size of their restaurant to 300 seats and also expanded the capacity of the brewery. In 2012 the brewery produced 93,196 barrels of beer, so that you can just get an idea of how quickly and how well that this brewery has grown over the last few years. But for their brewing they use a mixture of German and American hops, European hops of course as well, with they import full flower hops, and apparently very few US breweries do this, and they say that it gives them a lot better flavour and things like that in their beer. And they also have they also have 45 different unique yeast strains to complement the wide varieties of beers they do. Check out their website and you will get an idea of just how many beers they do. They're a very prolific brewery actually, and like a number of US breweries they have several policies that also kind of incorporate environmental awareness and green energy and all of this sort of thing. So they're very cool, and they've recently began brewing at their new facility in Parksburg, which will have a capacity of 225,000 barrels per year as well. So check that out. Just to list a few of the beers you can get from these guys: in the regular range you get the Hop Devil IPA, which I've reviewed for you, Golden Monkey, which is a Belgian Triple, Prima Pils, I've also reviewed that for you, Headwaters Pale Ale, this guy here, Storm King, which is an Imperial Stout, very nice beer, Dirt Wolf, which is a double IPA, Victory Lager, Donnybrook Stout, V12, which is a Belgian strong ale, Helios Farmhouse Ale, the Mad King's Vice, Hop Wallop, Baltic Thunder, which is a Baltic Porter, and also Braumeister Pils. They've got 9 different seasonal beers as well. They've got Hop Ranch, which is an IPA, Swing, which is a Session Saison, Summer Love, which is a Golden Ale, Fest Beer, which is an Oktoberfest Märzen, Winter Cheers, which is a Wheat Ale, Old Horizontal, which is an American Barley Wine, Sunrise Weiss Beer, Moonglow Weizenbock, and St. Boisterous Hellerbock, St. Victoria Stoppelbock, and Takimak Glory Ale. So that's just a few of the different beers you can get from these guys. There's a whole host of them. As I say, a very, very prolific brewery. So let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. Just to tell you a little bit about this beer, this one was designed to kind of complement the water source that the brewery do, and it's again about the environmental sustainability of this beer. So it says, the product description on the website of this one says, the pure water we receive from the east branch of the Brandywine Creek that begins its journey to us just under 14 miles from where we brew with it. We'll celebrate this water, insert your unique beer joke here, with our anniversary beer, Headwaters Pale Ale, due to be released on February 15th, 2011. Now, considering that beer is a product of 4 simple ingredients and 3 other than water, and all of these rely on water for their existence, we've had a fair amount of latitude in paying homage to the water in our beer. So we've played all our cards deftly, bringing in the hops, malt and yeast in harmony with our great local water as the conductor in Headwaters Pale Ale. So that's your little wee splurge about this beer itself. I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It actually doesn't say what percentage this one is, but I know I can tell you it's an American Pale Ale. I'm just checking here. It really actually doesn't say what percentage it is on the bottle, so I've no idea actually. Probably would on the website, but I didn't think to look that up just because it's normally on the bottle. So I'll bring up the camera and let you have a quick look at the artwork on this one. I think it'll probably be around 5 or 6% this one. You can see there the typical kind of hop artwork you expect from Victory Brewing there. Headwaters Pale Ale. It has a nice little splurge on the side of it there. It says, malted barley, hops and yeast are the building blocks of beer, but none of these elements would exist without water, the essence of life. The water that feeds our brewery begin just over a dozen miles away, making for spectacularly pure and vital water for brewing. Having worked with watershed advocacy groups since our inception, we value our headwater, our source, in many ways. We think that you'll value them as well when you taste this firmly crisp and aromatically arousing pale ale. Cheers. And you can see Bill and Ron have just signed it down there. But I'm just making sure I'm not missing the alcohol percentage on this one. It doesn't seem to be on the bottle, which is quite unusual for Victory Brewing Company actually. But a very nice kind of the hop head one on this. That's the typical sort of artwork for Victory Brewing. You can see that's the brewery symbol up there, the red V. V for Victory, which was the name of their first beer. Victory Pils, I'm sure, was one of the first ones that they produced because it was a victory for them to produce it. But that's the bottle cap on this one. But without further ado, let's get this guy open. As I say, this brewery are very concerned with environmental stability, so it's cool that they donate a portion of their proceeds to the charities for the water for this beer. So here you are, a nice smoky opening on this one. And it's an American Pale Ale. I'll guess it'll be somewhere between 5 and 6% for this one. So as you can see, it's poured a nice kind of opaque, bright orange amber. I'll just bring up the light here so you can see the colour of this one a little bit better. If I bring that up to you there, you can see just it's a nice bright, as I say, a nice bright, opaque, orange amber colour beer, this one. A nice half finger of a frothy white head that's just going to fade away to be a very nice kind of thin layer. Looks very, very nice. Just a little bit of big bubbles kind of going up towards the bottom of the head on this one. A very attractive looking beer. There's my bottle cap coming back. But yeah, looks very, very nice. Just a tiny little bit of sediment coming out of this one, which can happen when you store the beer for a little while, as I have. But let's get it sugared up and get a look at the aroma here. Smells like your kind of typical American Pale Ale. Very strong and very nice sort of juicy aromas coming out of this one. You've got a lot of kind of citricy, juicy fruit coming out of this one. A good bit of grapefruit backing up, but I do think it's mainly an orangey citrus that's coming out of this one in the nose. But you've got a very kind of grassy and citricy malt. I think there's a little bit of an earthy character just coming out in this one as well, in honesty. But it's mainly grassy, juicy oranges and a little bit of grapefruit in the aroma. Definitely a bit of earthy character, particularly when you sugar it up like this. Definitely a nice little bit of earthy character in there. but you've got some biscuity and some sweet caramel kind of complementing that sort of fruity juiciness as well. A very attractive beer. Very attractive aroma on this beer, I should say. So without further ado, let's get on with this. This is my third review from Victory Brewing Company, a brewery I rate very, very highly. So to Victory Brewing Company, cheers. First taste, very, very interesting. A very wet and very light American Pale Ale, but it certainly, with it being very light and very wet, it doesn't lack in flavour. It certainly has all the elements you expect from the style. It's a hugely, hugely light Pale Ale in my opinion. Very, very nice in fact. But with this one, the citric hops are quite prominent. That nice wet mouthfeel makes it very, very refreshing. And the orangey citrus flavour comes out right at the front of the tongue. And you've got just that grassy and aromatic character spreading around the edges of the tongue there. Very, very nice tasting beer this actually. It has just a little bit of tangerine sharpness in there, but as you progress through the flavour, the grapefruit flavours are coming out a little bit more, and they're sticking a little bit more towards the back of the tongue actually, which is quite interesting. They've got this nice kind of blanket of the kind of sourish grapefruit flavour, I think. Very, very nice. The orangey flavours are a little bit more juicy, but the grapefruit flavours are a little bit more dry and bitter, if that makes sense. As I say, this nice orangey flavour comes out at the front of the tongue. The fresh kind of grassy aromatic character makes it quite crisp around the edges, and then you've got this sourish grapefruit character just at the back there. The malt in this one is actually quite mild, I think. You've got just a little bit of biscuity and caramel malt, and maybe a little bit of sweet bread as well, but this is mainly a hoppy beer, and I think the malt is a little less present in this one because of just kind of how light the mouthfeel is. If it was a little heavier, perhaps you would get a bit more of the malt coming out in this one. The malt, in fairness, does come out just a little bit in the flavour. It comes out right in the middle of the beer. You just get this little bready, slightly biscuity malt, but then it's almost kind of quite quickly subdued by the grapefruit flavour. As that comes in and grows later on in the flavour of the beer, that pushes the malt back a bit. It's a very, very hoppy pale ale, so if that's what you like with your beers, definitely give this one a go. And I do like just how light this beer is. It's very, very sessionable, which is very, very nice. It's quite a nice sessionable bitter beer, and it's at the same time it has the full bitter flavour, but it's very refreshing because it's so light, which is, it's a very cool combination actually, and you can see how they've made it that way just to give a little bit more prominence to the water that this beer's named after. A very, very cool feat actually that they've managed to pull it off that way. But yeah, I would say there is a little bit of a kind of dusty and earthy character coming out from the hops in this one as well. There is a bit of earthy character that just comes in right in the middle of the palate there. As I say, the malt is very subdued. I was expecting a little bit more caramel in there, but it's more of an earthy character that comes out in it. But overall, in terms of the mouthfeel, it's very light bodied, as I say. This is one of the lightest pale ales I've come across, and you can see why they've done this, just to give the water flavour a little bit more prominence, and it's very, very nice. They've managed to create a very, very sort of sessionable pale ale, one that you would just like to sit and drink on a summer's day, and because it's so light, I would I would happily buy a 6-pack of this or something and go down to the beach and drink it. It would be very, very nice to do that actually. But it's got a nice, very wet mouthfeel, as I say, a slightly oily character, and it helps the oily character, and it actually helps blend the fruit flavours together. You get a quite nice blending of flavour between the orange, the sweet oranges at the start, the juicy oranges, and then the dry grapefruit character that builds a little bit later on. And that kind of wet mouthfeel and the slight oiliness to the beer helps make the transition very well. But overall, this is a really, really nice pale ale. As always with Victory Brewing, you're never going to be disappointed with anything that these guys produce, as far as I can see, or as far as I know. So go and check them out if you haven't already. If you want a nice sessionable pale ale or American pale ale, I would recommend you take a look at this beer. And they seem very, very nice. When I've sent over my videos to them, they seem to have enjoyed it. So go and check them out. If you do find yourself in Pennsylvania, have a look at their brewery and go on a tour and stuff like that. And check out Paul's reviews at PABrewNews. He'll know a little bit more about Pennsylvanian beer than me. But I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. I've enjoyed doing another one from Victory Brewing. So please let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on this beer, and if you're able to suggest any more Pennsylvanian beers, then please do let me know. I'll be back in the States, I think, maybe some point next summer. We'll see about that, but I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff, and I will be back tomorrow with my 300th review, so hopefully you can look forward to that. I've got a very special beer saved for it. Cheers.